Welcome, citizen. I am your host, Venerati, and I am going to be casting the second in between STX and LiquidHaypro. LiquidHaypro, of course, spawning as Zerg, which is, of course, what he always does, and STX as the blue Terran. Now, we are on xe'l naga caverns right now, and what we saw actually, a little bit about last game. Holy crap, that was a really long game. Actually, one of the longer games that I've cast. It was good. It was a jungle basin, and we really saw LiquidHaypro expand macro out and put a lot of pain to STX, but STX was able to use his tanks to great advantage. I really feel that was what ended up winning it for him. Either way, here on xe'l naga caverns, a little bit different. We don't have the center ground where you generally fight. Actually, we have a pit of death. I think it's like a sacrificial pit for the mushrooms or something of that nature. However, with this, though, we do see the natural right here, quite exposed, very difficult to defend. Not so much as I would say like Metalopolis, but you have the two roots into here, you have the destructible rocks, and you have this little set of bushes right here that you can run forces in here, run it into the middle line. And hey, look, there's an engineering bay going to be going down for STX, as he knows that LiquidHaypro is going to want to expand, as it's just about time for that. And it's 15. The Overlord is just about to see that. So is the drone going to be able to see that. So Haypro going to be forced to roll into a yep, there we go. Spawning pool. There we go. Yes, the little kiddie pool for those Zerglings. So Haypro going to have to switch it up once again. Honestly, going up against a Terran and a Protoss player as a Zerg, I mean, you're generally going to be harassed for that expansion, as it's become very, very common to get that hatch around 14, 15, as we were seeing there. That's what LiquidHaypro was wanting to do, but unfortunately did not get the chance to. Once again, we have STX walling off here, as we're probably going to have a supply depot coming down for him right there. We do have the refinery finishing up as well. Now, last time we saw STX do a pretty big bio ball, and he threw in some tanks. Like I said, the tanks really, I feel, what capped it off for him. And we saw Medivacs as well. We didn't see the Thors or anything like that. But Haypro didn't bring any Mutalisk either, which I thought it wasn't necessarily negative, but you just see Mutalisk used so often nowadays. But one thing LiquidHaypro did do that was pretty badass was his infestors. He used his infestors. He cut through STX's army. The first 5 engagements, that fungal growth just locked all of those units down, basically immobilizing them, as none of them were actually strong enough to break free of it. And we do see the engineering bay go down and the hatch queue up immediately. So fungal growth, really, really powerful. STX probably didn't bring on the Thors anyway, because he did see the infestors out there, as that neural parasite is just a favorite thing to use against Thors, as Thors are so big, just screaming, please take control of me. As we do have these Zerglings splitting up, we'll be occupying the xe'l naga towers. We are going to see them go after this SCV. This SCV is shitting himself right now, trying to run away. He lucks out as the Zerglings are actually told to go do something else, as we do have one Zergling trying to chase him down. And SCP trying to make it to the base. Will it be enough? This queen is going to be waiting for him, so we'll be stabbing him in the face with her gigantic claws. And will he get away? No, he does not, and is just rend asunder. And we do actually have roaches, the Roach Warren, up and going for LiquidHaypro. We don't see any roaches being queued up just yet. However, we do see Hellions here, as we did see a swap right here for the reactor. Nice use of the the reactor in the barracks, basically just building it for the factory so he can squeeze out those Hellions that much quicker, try to be a pain in the rear. However, Haypro really isn't going to have to fear the Hellions too much in a direct sense because of the Roaches. The Roaches do a really good job of withstanding the damage dealt by the Hellions. However, if the Hellions do go unchecked, they will just pillage your mineral lines all day long, especially if they get the pre-igniter upgrade, which it does not look like STX is actually going to be going for that, as he does have the reactor and not a tech lab on there. So, meanwhile, we have STX just cranking out an economy, trying to get something going, as we do see a command center come down. So going to be keeping up with Haypro in the macro sense, is going to occupy that natural. With Haypro moving out with these two Roaches, they are not going to choose to engage the Hellions that we have right there, as these Hellions are massing up, as we do have a Hellion gang going to be moving in here. There aren't that many drones to actually be roasting over here, as we do see the queen pissed off about this, will be flailing her massive arms at that. They're going to be coming back around, trying to get up this ramp. They could have squeezed by those roaches, but one of those Hellions would have really been feeling the pain right there. So the Hellions not really being able to be utilized effectively. We do have the bunker returning fire on these roaches, as they do take a few pot shots at the Black People. However, we do have STX bringing his Hellions around the edge. Will be racing around, rallying the cars over here. It looks like he is going to be able to get over here, as there's nothing to see behind the reeds. We do actually have the Overlord right there, but it's not going to be enough, as we do see the HayPro moving the drones away, but STX was able to toast one of them, as the charred remains are just now dissipating from that drone. So HayPro doing a good job. Actually, the positioning of that Overlord does kind of nullify these bushes due to the fact that it is actually a flying unit. So the Hellions being kept at bay, being marginally ineffective. And we have another rack coming. Actually, we will be having 3 racks for STX right now with the factory. So looking very much akin to what he was bringing in Jungle Basin, except he does not actually have a starport. We did see a 111 come, 111 opener from STX, and we have a nice little posse of Overlords hanging out right there. We do see a second hatchery. So HayPro going to be ramping up his production facilities here. Is going to be getting the metabolic boost, so we are going to be seeing more Zerglings here. And what is it? We do see a Baneling nest, so equipping himself to combat that terrible bio ball that can be formed by the Marines here, as we saw that. And the Marines are oh so susceptible to those Banelings, as those Banelings are just freaking melt right through them like Swiss cheese. And we do have STX moving out here with some with a nice little army right here. As this one Zergling sprints past, and we have the Hellions choosing not to join their friends over here. As we have XTX once again will be taking advantage of this little reed. What are those reeds? I think those are reeds. LiquidHaypro does have the Overlord there, so we'll be able to see this. We'll be able to react to it in some fashion. Those Zerglings will not be able to get that great of an engagement right here, as this is kind of a bottleneck, especially if he splays out his Marines like that. We do see the tanks deploying right here. One tank deploying. We do see the Zerglings moving in for the surround. The tank not able to actually engage them. We do have the Hellions trying to burn the Zerglings off of the tank, as we do see them adding their fire against the Roaches. The Roaches snipe the one tank, forced back though, as we do see the Banelings moving up here. These Banelings are going to be devastating to these Marines. We do see the Marines moving back, as they actually have HayPro not choosing to engage those Banelings on the Marauder right there, as the Marauders do very good to withstanding the Baneling damage, as they do 35 damage versus light units, and Marauders, of course, are not light units. STX forming another bio ball here, really Marine heavy, as we do see 2 reactors out here for STX. STX going to have the anti-air capability, but is going to have a hard time withstanding large freaking, oh wow, large forces of Broodlings. And we have a Spire for HayPro, so HayPro is going to be utilizing the Mutalisk mobility in this game, it appears to, which, 2 factors. We have STX with a large accent of Marines in his bio ball, so he is going to have anti-air. He doesn't have any Thors. Thors, of course, will be superbly adept at killing the Mutalisk. Even more so, it would help them kind of keep HayPro from getting that critical mass, as we do actually have HayPro really ramping it up here, as we have 8 Mutalisks coming up here. So HayPro going to be putting a lot into his Air Force. This one Baneling hanging out there, as he was, I think, the only Baneling left on the field for LiquidHaypro. HayPro killing those rocks, does have the hatchery coming online right there, so doing a good job. Will be mounting a pretty heavy macro game once again, as STX was not able to really make a definitive push into HayPro's natural right here. Not really, there wasn't any critical damage. We do see 1 Mutalisk falling from the sky, as we do see 2 Marines die right there. 2 of those glaives. And we have more units stemming from STX, trying to run up here, trying to kill these Mutalisks, as the Mutalisks are running away from it, trying not to engage head on, as we do see a couple of pot shots going down on these SCVs, as we see 4 or 5 SCVs dropping to the glade worms of the Mutalisks. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks not really taking that much in the way of damage. So STX trying to ward off this attack. Does not have much in the way. He doesn't have any turrets down right now, even though he does have the engineering bay finishing up the ground weapons level 1, as we do have more Mutalisks taking pot shots. I think it's 3, 4, maybe 5 more SCVs going down here. STX forced to split his army apart to kind of bottle LiquidHaypro up here, as we do have and he will be flying the gauntlet right there, as we do see a lot of gauze rounds hitting the forces of HayPro right now. HayPro choosing not to fully disengage, will be attacking the reactor right there, as it is very easy to knock down these buildings right here, as they do not have the same resilience as, like, say, the barracks. They only have 400 HP. So we do see the reactor fall to that Mutalisk harass. HayPro doing a superb job of just being a pain in the rear with those Mutalisks. So we do have the second expansion for HayPro coming online, as we do have the hatchery being queued up as well. HayPro, of course, have his lumbering flock of overlords running around out there. We do see a few more banelings being built right here, or added to the ground forces of HayPro. But HayPro really going pretty heavy with these Mutalisks, as we see a lot more Zerglings being built. And there we go. We're seeing a lot of banelings being queued up right there. And we do have the hive coming online for HayPro as well. HayPro re-engaging with these Mutalisks, flying in here, trying to make something happen, as that reactor was just finished up, will be taken out. Yeah, there we go. The reactor is being taken out there, as we do see him sniping these SCVs, as that one supply depot will not end up being finished. And once again, seeing the tech lab being engaged right there, as we do have STX moving into the natural right here, as we do see the tanks forming up, as they are not being balled up right there. We do see these 3 tanks going down to all those banelings, soaking up a lot of damage that luckily these Marines did not have to front the bill for that damage. Soaking little festival right there, as this natural, or not natural, the expansion right there will be going down. We do have 3 tanks left in STX Army. We do have a few medevacs going in there, but we do have the Mutalisk going unchecked inside of STX's base. STX is really not in a good position in that aspect, as we do have him moving into the natural of HayPro, but we do see fungal growth going down and a lot of Mutalisks moving in here. We do see shells raining down on his own units. LiquidHaypro taking the splash damage from his own tanks, as it looks like STX's army will be wiped up here. And hey, this was starting to look like a base race, but STX GG's out of the game, and HayPro taking it, as he basically ate the damage of STX's army, consumed it, took it. Meanwhile, just sitting here pinging the main of STX with his Mutalisks, doing a good job of just of not allowing STX any rest with these Mutalisks. So STX ended up losing this one, of course, to the overall overwhelming force of the Zerg Swarm that time. However, guys, thank you for joining me. I do believe this will be the last one for today, but continue to take a look at the channel, as I will be putting stuff up all week. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, citizens, stay safe.